dream again. Please don't give up on your future.
So look, man, welcome to Life Interrupts Us, the podcast.
Mhm.
First of all, I don't know if I ever shared with you, but our journeys were destined to intertwine just simply because of the origins of me being connected to Kamasi and Thundercat.
Yeah.
And the fact that, when they were, man, they were babies. Um, they were young. And my writing partner, I was putting a band together. I put my first album out. This was like, I don't know, 2002, 2003. And I put my first album out and I was like, you know what? I want to start touring this album and start gigging. And the album was more, electro based in terms of its production, but I wanted to translate it to a live feel. So I
Mhm.
started putting the band together, and my co-writing partner, she told me, she said, "Hey, I've got a keyboard player and a drummer from my church that have heard you and they want to get down with you." I'm like, "Cool." Drummer ends up being Robert Miller,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
yeah, we put the thing together, and Robert, we initially were working with what's his name, Brian. He's a bass player from Chicago. Um,
Mhm.
Brian Bush.
Yeah.
You know Brian Bush?
I
You
heard of
guys
him.
kind of favor a little bit.
I heard.
So we worked with Brian a little bit, and then we Robert says, "Hey man, we get ready for this big gig," and he said, this festival, and he said, "Hey man, you need a horn player? "Mm, what horn is it?" He said, "Saxophone." I'm like, I wasn't a big fan of the sax. My favorite horn is the trumpet. So I
Right.
was like, man, I don't know. He was like, man, he tight. I was like, yeah, did it. I'm like, yeah, how tight can he be? He's a sax player. I'm like, yeah. I didn't even like the sound of the sax.
Right.
And so I said, you know what? I tell you what, invite him to the rehearsal and we'll see how he fits. Man, that nigga Kamasi walks through the door. He's super cool, got on his big African garb, and he's, "Hey, what's up, man? What's up? Thanks for having me." Masi's just super nice. And I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh man, that's what's up, bro. What's going on?" And so I don't even tell him what to do because honestly, I didn't. For me, I knew it wasn't gonna work because
Mhm.
I didn't really feel a sax player. So I just
Yeah.
said, "Hey man, you know what? Just jump in where you can and see how you vibe with it." And it was all original music. And so he hadn't had a chance to hear the music or none of that. That nigga, man,
Mm.
he lit that rehearsal up. I was like, "What is this?" And Robert was like, "I
Oh,
told you." I told you. I was like, "Dude." So
yeah.
so the bass player we had couldn't get down with us. And so Kamasi was like, "I got a bass player for you." I'm like, "Okay. If you coming in killing my stuff like that and you don't know it, I'm curious." And he said, "Yeah, his name is Steven Bruner." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I don't know Steven Bruner from anybody. I was like, "Cool." He said, "Yeah, he goes by Thundercat." I was like, "Oh, that's cool. I like the Thundercats. I grew up on that." So Thundercat comes to the next rehearsal, and Taylor, when I tell you some of the most magical music experiences I ever had live were
Yeah.
with that group, because Thundercat did some of the craziest bass playing I had ever heard, because you know how he plays. He almost plays the bass like it's a guitar.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he does a lot of chording and a lot of abstract, a lot of minor, goes into some other stuff, and then he takes. We were doing this live thing, this event, and he took a song that had a real. You would like this song too. It's called "Getting Clear," which was the title track from my first album. Real soul, like I could hear you and me singing on it. It's got that
Mm.
kind of feel to it. Real dig in, like old school R&B soul feel to it. But it was because at that time all my music was just like Christian based. So it was a
Right.
God song, but it was about me. And I think some of the lyrics was, you look at me like I'm a picture. Why do you stare? Is it the color of my skin or what I'm wearing, or is it just my hair? So it's kind of a introspective song. And I'm saying that God is not finished with me. He's working on me. It's the picture of who I am is getting clearer. Man, we did this song at this my homeboy owned a coffee shop, like he did a whole little coffee book thing and all that kind of thing. And I was in charge of running his entertainment every week. And so he was like,
Mm,
man, I want your band to come in and feature you guys. And so we're doing this thing, it's a bunch of people in there, and we get on this song getting clear, and it runs at about, I don't know, 70, 72 BPM. So it's got a nice little doom, 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 real nice little dig in it. But that fool, Thundercat,
mm.
he took that song in the vamp and went somewhere else with it. When I tell you, worship broke out all through that coffee shop. It was insane. And it was almost out of body watching him do what he did with that song and with every song. And so fast forward, working with them a bunch for a couple of years, and then things kind of died down, and I was working on some new stuff, and they started going on to other things, and then we circled back. Kamasi, I featured Kamasi on 4 years later. I featured him on a song on one of my new albums, and he came to my house to the studio, and he's like, "What you working on?" Because back then I performed as SP. And he's like, "SP, what you working on, man?" So he's like, "I love the song you sent me." So he recorded, and then he said, "Let me hear what else you got going on, man." So I let him hear some of the songs. He's like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa. Go back, go back. Can I get on that?" I was like, "Look, man, I only got budget to pay you for the song you came and got down on." He said, "No, no, 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 no. This one's on me. Let me get down on that." So he lit this song up, and it was just the interlude that ended up going on for like 4 minutes.
That's
And
dope.
from there, I just stayed connected to Kamasi, and the next thing I know, oh, fun fact. So we had a rehearsal, right? And Robert comes to the rehearsal.
Mhm.
And I had never met Robert. And he comes to the rehearsal and he's chilling. Um, and Bruner, that is. And I mean Ronald, not Robert. Ronald comes to the
Okay,
rehearsal.
Ronald.
And obviously he knows everybody. And so Thundercat introduced me, "Hey, this is my brother." And
Mhm.
so, "Oh, okay, that's what's up, man. Family thing." And so he's sitting there in the rehearsal, doing like Ronald do, and he vibing, but he kind of sitting out to the side, like, "What's going on here?" And then after after the rehearsal, he walked up to me and he slid me his business card. It said "Little Drummer Boy" on it. He was like, "Hey, if you ever need anything, or if Robert can't get down with you, I got you." I was like, "Oh, that's what's up." I never got to work with Ronald, but it was hilarious that he did that. I was like, "Okay, I
Yeah.
see you. I see you." And then later on, I ended up working with him, and so when before I met you, I knew who you were because I'm a researcher and a historian. Once I saw Kamasi was like, "Hey man, I want you to come and do some stuff on my album," and it's the first big album, and I was like, "Oh, okay, that's what's up. Who's gonna be on it?" And he started dropping names, and I already knew who your brother was, so I
Mhm.
was like, "Huh, Cameron and Ted, the Grave brothers. Okay, well, I heard of Cameron. I've seen him somewhere
Mhm.
on something." I was like, "Let me check this Taylor cat out," and I was like, "Oh, this nigga can sing." Nigga sang. I was like, "Okay, I'm with that. I gotta know him," because I'm very intentional about connecting with people.
Yeah.
And when I saw some of your live stuff, I think you was doing some stuff at the what's the spot over there by Amps? Uh, the Reserve,
Oh, the Federal Bar.
the
Yeah.
Federal.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And I was like, "Okay, I dig this cat's voice, man. He seemed like a cool cat." And so
Mm.
I walk into the thing and me and you are standing next to each other, singing and clowning like we
Yeah,
known
yeah.
each other. And you were just so cool. And I was like, all right, this is gonna be a brother right here I can lock in with. So man, that's my story, man. And it's kind of how Robert Miller is to be credited for me and you knowing each other, because had he not brought Kamasi, I would have never got off into that end of the world. And it's been a pleasure. singing, holding tenor and baritones down with you with stuff with Kamasi and just having good times. And man, so blessed, man, blessings. But thank you for being here, bro. At Mike Henry's Barbecue Company, we are passionate about delivering not just the best food, but the best experience. Nestled in the heart of Rancho Cucamonga, our mission is to treat every guest like family, offering mouth-watering barbecue that's slow cooked to perfection and served with a smile. From our tender brisket to our savory ribs, each dish is crafted with love and attention to detail. Our dedicated team goes the extra mile to ensure every visit is memorable, blending friendly, attentive service with a warm, inviting atmosphere. At Mike Henry's Barbecue Company, we don't just serve food, we serve happiness.
Well, man, thank you for having me. I appreciate you bringing me on to your podcast and giving me a platform, man. So, that's love. Robert Miller is definitely one of my good friends going back all the way to high school. Hamilton High School is how we
Yeah.
all met each other. And we were all playing part of the jazz academy and playing instruments in the jazz academy there. And Kamasi was a little older than I was, and he was
Mm-hmm.
1 year older than my older brother Cameron. And so when I got to Hamilton, I was in ninth grade. Kamasi was in 12th grade already. But
Okay.
it was cool because my brother had already been playing in quartet with him. They already been playing in the A band together, soloing, doing trips with the school, winning competitions. They had a rap, you know. Um,
Yeah.
and Robert was also playing in those bands as well. And so that's how I met them. So they were like my big brothers at Hamilton, you know what I'm saying? And Hamilton had so many talented people. They had a humanities part of the school, and then they also had the music academy, and both sides had talent, you know. Over on the humanities side, even though they weren't in the music academy, they were still killing like Omarion, Ty Dolla $ign, Nipsey Hussle. His name is Ermias. He went to our school.
Mm-hmm.
Isla Pratt, Robert Rashad. Some of them did like they did the musical stuff. You know what I mean, like the acting stuff. But you know what I mean. We still
Yeah.
had folks, Cam Talbert, amazing singer. And so yeah, so we go back all the way. I go back with those cats since my ninth grade year. And so, yeah, watching my brother Kamasi, and later on, probably like maybe 3 or 4 years after that, Stephen and Ronald joined Kamasi and Cameron to form the Young Jazz Giants. And so I was still like 12th grade, and Stephen was too. He's my age. But then the boys had already graduated. They started going to UCLA. Brother
Mm-hmm.
Kamasi, Ronald started going to Cal Arts, but then they started like playing around town. You know what I'm saying? Like doing Catalina. They did the John Coltrane Festival and won that. Um, and actually, that's where those cats met Flying Lotus because he was, he's part of that. He was actually doing videography for the John Coltrane Festival, and so that's a whole
Wow.
nother story. But yeah, so they started playing around town, establishing themselves as the Young Jazz Giants. And here's a fun fact about them, and I was always a little brother just with my pops helping out, carrying equipment, videotaping, whatever I needed to do, and just clowning, helping out, having a good time. But those cats ended up playing at the Hollywood Bowl Jazz Festival, Playboy Jazz Festival at the time. But they weren't playing on stage. They were playing in the parking lot when cats were like walking up. So, talk
Was
about
that arranged or did they just like flash mob?
it was arranged. It was arranged. They were allowed to set up right outside while people walk in and get their seat,
Wow.
kind of like over there by the ticket spots.
A
And
welcome band.
welcome band. Who are these young cats? These cats are from,
Wow.
from the city. And they blew everybody's socks off while they were walking up to the show, And then fast forward 10, 15 years later, we done played the Hollywood Bowl on the main stage
Yeah,
multiple
yeah,
times.
yeah. I've been there. I've been there.
It's just
That's
funny how
crazy.
the evolution of things, and just how we've been on that path. Thanks to my father, Carl Graves, uh, Ricky Washington. Even um, what's his name from Locke High School, Reggie Andrews, R.I.P. Because that's where Stephen and Ronald went to high school. They went to Locke High School, and so they were in the jazz program at Locke under Reggie Andrews. And he was an amazing producer, did a bunch of stuff like Roberta Flack and all the R.I.P. You
Mm.
know what I'm saying? And so and actually his daughter is Nia Andrews, who sings with us in Kamasi's choir.
Okay, okay.
So anyway, so all the fathers
That's
were
royalty then. That's straight
definitely.
royalty.
Yeah, man, all the fathers had a lot to do with putting us on this path and making us go forward. And so yeah, Robert Miller would always substitute. And Ronald was more like the main drummer, but then Robert had chops. And so he was the
Yeah, that
perfect,
boy cold.
if Ronald couldn't do it, Robert could do it. And
Yeah.
it was always funny because the drummers had such a, almost like competitive, spirits. And so they were always, that's what that was when he handed you that card. That was like his competitive spirit. Like,
It was very much him.
you want more chops? Here you go. You know what I'm saying? But it's cool to hear he was professional enough to have cards on deck.
Right, right,
You know.
right.
So yeah, man, that's how I met Kamasi, Robert, and there was a thing called multi-school jazz band as well around that time that I was privy to. My brother was a deep part of it, and it was basically all the schools had all their best players come together under one roof
Okay.
form. And then that turned into the Thelonious Monk Foundation, and they started playing under that foundation, which is now the Herbie Hancock Foundation at UCLA under Daniel Seif, and he's a radio DJ at 88.1, 89.9, one of those two. And he was a big part of all that. The guys were coming together from different schools and playing together. And so, fast forward 15 years later, 10, 15 years later, we're in that, Sunset Sound singing on Kamasi's record. And Kamasi is great at, you know, understanding what everybody's strong points are and then bringing it together and putting it on the record, you know. So
Yeah,
that
he's
was
he's a
cool.
great curator.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
He's a great curator.
Yeah.
Man,
So
that's
that's just
wild,
a
man.
little, perspective on that. Now me and Steven kind of developed a friendship because we were the same age, you know what I'm saying? Around the time that YJG, Young Jazz Giants, were going around the city performing as a quartet, winning competitions. And so him and I, being the same age, kind of just, clicked. And actually the Bruner brothers, Ronald and Steven, those are like my best friends, both of them, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so, we basically started making music together around when I was 18, 17, 18. Like I had a couple songs that I wrote and he came in and put the bass on it. We both liked we shared an affinity for Graham Central Station, Larry Graham's
Yes, yes.
band.
He used to talk about that. Yeah.
And we picked out samples that we like, and he would just play it back. He was like, "Oh, this is what he was doing." I was like, "Yeah." And there was this one song where I sampled one of Larry Graham's bass lines, and it became one of the songs that we ended up, singing in my R&B group called YM, called Changes. And so this was like a branch off from the jazz stuff now we're kind of looking at Mint Condition, we're looking at 112, we're looking at all these R&B groups, and we can sing, and then we want to, get a record deal around like 17, 18. And so, we formed a band called YM. And we had a dancer, singer, who was singing backgrounds and playing instruments. And then Steven came in and recorded on a few of those songs. And that basically started our, musical friendship and, brotherhood, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Around 17, 18. So there was two things going on simultaneously: jazz, R&B, hip hop. And then I was developing my production skills through this whole thing. I was working on Digital Performer, working on
Yeah,
Reason,
DP, yes.
Reason, and Reason didn't have no audio at that time, so we had to rewire it into DP, use it as a plugin. We're doing my drums on that.
Mhm.
And then we had the MPC as well. So we were doing our drums on that, and then bouncing it in, but sending it through audio to DP, to get our drums into the digital audio workshop. I mean, we kind of like came up before Fruity Loops and before Logic and before all these programs that made things way easier. We
Yeah.
came up doing our hip hop beats on the MPC. You know what I'm saying? We had a 62, and we graduated to the 2000. And so, yeah, man, around like that age, I started getting my production going. 18, 17, 18. And then we would put live instruments on things. And then yeah, we ended up getting signed to MCA. And then we had like a development deal with Randy Jackson. And then
I know
he put us,
Randy. Yeah, I know Randy.
yeah,
Yeah.
Randy, he put us in the studio with Macy Gray's producer, Daryl Swan. And then that's when we finally felt like we made it. We were at Paramount Recording Studios doing
It's about to
our
be
stuff.
big.
Yeah. So that's kind of when the brotherhood continued on and strengthened, and the roots really grew, around that time. Uh, yeah, man. So
So
that's
what
that's
happened?
it.
What I mean, come on, man. You can't do that and then like gloss over. Yeah, that's how that went. No, 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 man. What what happened?
It was interesting, man. Life happened. I feel like
Life interrupts us.
life interruptions, man. This is basically what this whole podcast is about. The relationships that enter into our lives, sometimes dissolve, and the
Yeah.
band actually was tight. We were tight, you know what I mean? We were friends first and then made music. And then some of us went to the same school together. So it's like, we had raps with each other, rap sheets with each other. But so the MCA thing ended up falling apart because Randy got fired. It's a little T for this
I
whole thing.
remember that.
Randy Jackson got fired from MCA along with the whole like A&R division. They were
Yeah,
just
yeah. They started shutting down that whole black division.
yeah, they took that, and then MCA ended up turning into Geffen anyway. So they were doing corporate restructuring, you know. But then when Randy got fired, our development deal basically got shelved. It was no longer. And it was interesting because we had done showcases. We had different record labels that were actually interested in us, but we thought that the development deal was the way to go. Meaning, we get to basically sharpen our iron, create music, and we get a little money, and then put out a record. Well, the record never came out, you know. And then
Mm,
Randy got fired, went on to do an American Idol, forgot about us. We actually ended up having a few meetings with him later on in life, but forgot
yeah.
about us, period. And, it's not his fault really. I mean, I feel like they were just restructuring. But anyways, we ended up changing the band name from YM to a few things like six. And then we were like, finally we settled on the score. So the score ended up becoming the final form of the R&B band, right? And we ended up doing like a single with Slum Village and this other artist from England. Um, forgot her name, but she was like the link to England, right? So we locked in with this British A&R and China Dance Force, who basically saw the score and said, "Man, that would be killing." We put them up with some
Hmm.
British, a drummer, a British bass player. You guys are American. We team up and we go out there and tour. And so, and basically that was the end of YM. So we basically got rid of Ronald because he didn't want to really join up with us with the British endeavor. He was, still feeling the American situation that we had. And then our lead singer ended up dipping because like the person like who was like our, you know, person that kind of founded us and brought us to MCA was interested in our
Hmm.
lead singer at the time and brought him and started doing a solo project with him. So he dipped. So it ended up just being like me, my brother, and Clyde and the dancer. And so we went up to England, joined the group, basically joined up with some brothers out there who were very talented. They were like the American
Wow.
version of Ronald and Steven out there. I mean, the British version of Ronald and Steven out there. And so we linked up with them, signed a little deal out there, and started touring
Wow.
around England. you know, and that was like when I was like 21 through 28. So, all the kind of like,
That's rich.
information from what we learned here in the States with MCA, all the stuff we took out there and started working on the record and then touring it. And it was cool because dude, the A&R guy, China had bread, he had money. And so he was able to buy us onto these tours and basically as opening acts, you know.
Hmm.
And then that's when we kind of like stole audience from people because we had so much energy. We were killing it, talented, and all those acts out there were like low energy, smooth R&B stuff. We were up
Were
there.
you playing and singing then, or
Yeah.
playing or singing? You was
I
doing
was
both?
playing and singing, and I graduated to lead singer.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So our lead singer had
yeah,
to do it. So I really started sharpening my iron, as a lead singer. And we were feeling ourselves, man. That we toured 40 dates with one artist, racked up like 30,000 email signatures on the tour. And our MySpace was starting to blow up. This was during MySpace. And
yeah.
we basically set ourselves up to drop a record and then also tour our own little tour, like, jazz cafes, like those size of venues. We started really getting our own little momentum going.
Philip Sharp Skills Jacobs, from Los Angeles, California, native, born and raised there. I'm a hip hop artist, I'm a leadership speaker, I'm an author. Mainly, I'm a creative, and I'm excited and passionate about entrepreneurship and helping people realize their full God given potential.
So yeah, so we ended up flying back to America, doing more recording, and then flying back out there, opening up for the Pussycat Dolls at that point, which was a big deal. No, we were just like rolling. And then we had a little van, little sprinter van. We were all in there carrying our equipment, touring around the country, and it was a great time, man. A great, great time. But then that dude, our A&R, China, disappeared. We don't know what
Mm.
happened. This is around 2008. There was a big financial crash, global financial crash.
Yeah, that was the bubble. That was the real
Yep,
estate bubble and everything
exactly.
along with it.
Everything went along with it, man. And this man disappeared. And he was half Nigerian, half Welsh. He was an investment banker. His real last
Oh.
name wasn't Answorth. It was like something I can't pronounce. And the red flags started popping up, like, what's going on? So essentially, he got shelved again.
Oh, should we be looking over our backs?
Right. Like, who is this dude? You know what I mean? And I think he might have disappeared along with the money. I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know what happened. And my dad was very disappointed because we were sitting on records. We had momentum. We had
Mm.
email signatures. All we needed to do was drop a record. We dropped a few little singles, but a full record and tour it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that never happened. I never forget. My pops was so upset. Just because we wasted. Well, it wasn't wasting time, but it was just like, you know,
Yeah.
it was like we didn't fulfill the
Yeah.
whole entire plan. It only got halfway. So this is the second time we've been like dropped or shelved, however you want to look at it. You know, um, it's just a testament of you know keep going, like how we've kept going. You know what I'm saying? And we refuse to lose. You know what I'm saying? So after that, came back to America, and that's when kind of like the homies are popping up. Plus, me and Cameron started doing production for Dr. Dre. you know,
Okay.
our career started going. Masi's career started going. We were at the piano bar every Wednesday and Friday. That was blowing up. That was our
Yeah.
live, stomping grounds here in LA. So we found our hearts back here in the city, and we're performing live all the time. Everybody is, sharpening their irons. So basically, at the piano bar was Kamasi, Cameron, Brandon, um, Miles Mosley, Ryan Porter. So this is the makings of, the West Coast get down Kamasi situation. And this is
Yeah.
where that blew up out of the piano bar in Hollywood. And so his career started popping off. Steven's career started popping off, Thundercats. Ronald had already been touring with everybody in the world. He started,
Mhm.
Stevie and Prince and all kinds of people. Uh, but yeah, so we started finding our momentum back within the squad from Hamilton, and we've been in that um, crew clique ever since. You know, and later on, a little bit later on, Stanley Clark reached out to us, and we started touring with him. My brother was a regular and recorded a whole album with Stanley. And then I would substitute for my
Mhm.
brother when he couldn't do it. He was out with Kamasi. I would fill in for Stanley, and play, do all that. And so started getting our names around town as the guys. And so
You guys are
now,
very talented, man, so that makes sense.
hey, man, it was all it's all from those early formative days, in Hamilton, just being
Yeah.
paired up with our peer group. And so, yeah, so eventually, Stephen and I, we had kept on writing throughout the whole time. Even though I was in England, I come back, we still write some, do things. His shit started really blowing up. And then 2020, we won our Grammy. I've written on pretty much every one of his records, you know,
Mhm.
and he likes to keep the same personnel, the same crew. It's one thing I really appreciate about Steven Bruner. He's very loyal, you know what I mean? So he's had me on every single one of his records, and we've been there watching the momentum grow, you know.
Yeah.
From having maybe 10,000 fans to now having a million, you know. And
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
surpassed pretty much everybody in the crew. Little bro, little bro, you know what I mean? Like, so just lapped everybody, um, in a good way. And Kamasi as well. He's the one of the biggest jazz artists on the planet. You know, he's
Yep.
he's really just taking it to the next level. And then, obviously teaming up with Terrace Martin, who has a big name as a producer, as a writer, as a horn
Yeah.
player.
Yeah.
And Robert Glasper, he links up with Kamasi and Terrace, huge name. So now we're up in these echelons, and Steven's doing stuff with Anderson Pack, and winning Grammys with all these guys, man. Tyler the Creator. And so this is the echelon that we're swimming in now. Mac
Yeah.
Miller. Speaking of which, that album
You did
just
a lot of
came out.
production for him, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, we did a lot of production and writing for Mac Miller when he was still alive. Steven brought me in on that, and we did a whole record together. It just came out posthumously.
Wow.
And it shot up to like Billboard Top 200 number 3 spot, and
Mm.
number 1 rap album, and at the time top vinyl sales. So like Mac Miller was working his magic from heaven, you know, and really boosted my career. Um, but yeah, that was all me and Stevens doing, like just creating records, and Mac playing along with us, and you know, so just basically these friendships that basically we basically created, and we bonded together as young men, we've managed to maintain, and through
Mhm.
that thrive business wise, and through that meet other people like yourself, and like
Yeah.
Nia and Godfrey, everybody, all the people that I wouldn't have met if we didn't forge those relationships, and stay open minded with it. Now, some of us have grown out of the situation, but that's you know neither here nor there. I'm sure if you were to like talk to Earth, Wind, and Fire or any of those big bands that grew up together, they all
Oh,
have
yeah.
similar stories. You know, whether it's
Yeah.
because of animosity, jealousy, envy, you know, things like that. They can tear friendships apart and business relationships apart. Um, resentment, you know. But ultimately, if you can clear your conscience and your heart and just remain supportive and be down and be cool, you can avoid all those emotions, negative emotions that will eventually get you casted out of the crew, of the clique. Period.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I always loved about you um, uh, the term greatness adjacent, where the greatness is happening right here and
Mhm.
you're right next to it. You're
Yeah.
not necessarily a part of it, but
Mhm.
you're right there next to it. Some people think, okay, since I'm this close, I should be a part of greatness too. And
Yeah.
others are will go, you know what? That's his greatness. I'm
Exactly.
just cool that we're still cool.
Yeah.
And for me, that's how what I think about you. You've accomplished so much, and I admire you. But we're brothers,
Yeah.
and it it doesn't matter. Like I think I text you one time because you had put something about you were working on something. I was like, man, you know, you need to let me come through, and you was like, come on, man, come on through.
Yeah.
Some people would just ignore the comment,
Yeah.
or they say, uh, uh, "Oh, don't worry, I ain't forgot about you." All that
Yeah.
pretentious stuff. But you've
Yeah.
always been just a real dude. During COVID, I hit you. Hey Taylor, man, I want to get you on this song. Send it to me. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Um, and just always have been a humble brother. And
Yeah.
for all of the things that you're doing, working with Will Smith and Willow and
Mm.
Jada, and working with the animation that you're a part of now. It, all of his greatness that's just soaring higher and higher, but you still that same guy.
Yeah,
And I
man.
gotta tell you, T, that's a rarity, man. A lot of people get enough air in them
Mhm.
to inflate to who they really have always been.
Yeah.
You're like,
Right.
I always knew you were that guy. You just didn't have enough air to fly up here, and now you got it. And now I see that I'm about to shoot you with an arrow to bring you down, because life will shoot an arrow and bring you down. But I appreciate that about you, man. You've always been a dude I could just reach out to, say, "Hey, man, da 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 da," and it's been good because I envy the fact that you're able to live your life centered in your creative process, right? I have not been able to do that because my life, I'm a little older than you guys. And so my life has been layered with other things, life choices, good and bad. Once you get a family and you have a child, once you get a family and you got bills and stuff, life gets
Yeah,
real. And
it
if
does.
if singing on the corner ain't making it, you got to go get a job on the corner. And
Exactly.
so I was never able to put myself in a position where I was fully immersed in the
Mm.
world that I really want to be in the most, and that's the music world. And so when I watch you and I see what you do, and I keep up with you via text, and we talk every now and then, and I look at what you're doing on social media, I'm just excited to see that you're still able to be centered in the thing that you love the most. I mean, we talk about our sons and all the stuff, but everything for you revolves around the world of the creative. And I'm like, man, that's so dope. And the fact that again, you're so humble that no matter how high you get, I know I could pick up my phone and text you and you're gonna call me back.
100%. Thank you, man.
And that's a beautiful thing.
And the reason why I'm able to maintain this humbleness is because I'm surrounded by people like yourself, Amasi, some of the baddest mofos on the planet. That-
Bless you, bless you.
how am I gonna sit here and think that I'm better than some of these cats that are better than me in certain ways? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, kind of being aware, just being
Yeah.
just understanding that it takes a team to get this stuff popping, and then also that everybody has strong points, and that's one of the cool things about our like history with like Kamasi and the groups that we've been in. It's always been a group situation, and cats are all dope, like stupidly dope, you know what I mean? And so it
Hmm.
keeps you in check a little bit, 100%, and also diversify, like I always talk about this, I don't just play piano behind people. I don't just produce. I also
Right.
do some acting. I also, what I'm saying, do some consulting. And, at the end of the day, when you do a bunch of that stuff and then session singing and stuff like that, when you do stuff like that, you surround yourself with people that are the kings in that situation, and then so you have no
Hmm.
choice but to be humble in those situations. and proud that you can stand toe to toe and feel, do your part, and play your role. But it also allows you to, not feel like, oh man, I'm supposed to be the best piano player in the city, and I'm supposed to be number one right now. Like, who cares, bro? Like, if you're not gonna do that, you can do that. But if you're not gonna do that, go over here and do some singing. Because at the end of the day, we do have children, we do have real things to, that we're responsible for, and so that's the
Very.
I've been able to stay afloat and just be creative. It's just doing a bunch of things, you know what I'm saying?
Cap Clothing, aka Cap LA, aka Knowledge and Persistence. Established in 2018, Cap is a clothing company based out of the Los Angeles, California area. I by the way, if you ever need some session work, your boy got you right. No
For
no
sure.
charge. I got you. You know that.
I need some bass
uh,
on that. I need some bass.
You need that
Vocal.
bass, bro. You
Yeah,
know what to do, man. Just call your brother, man. Call Stephen Wayne,
yeah,
aka
man.
SP,
Come on,
aka the
man. Bring
Bishop.
it.
Shout out.
I hold you to that. I'm gonna hold you to that now.
No, real talk. Because it's funny. As we talking, I'm sitting there listening to you. There's a song that I wrote with a former production partner, and um, we, it was supposed to be on an album that I did back in 2019, but it didn't fit the album. When we got ready to start mixing and all that, it's a tough song, but its vibe was so very far away from everything else on the album. I was like, man, this song doesn't fit this album. And so then COVID hit, and the world was interrupted, and I was like, well, what do we do with this song now? And I sat on it. I've sat on it for 6 years now, and I was tripping. I'm like, you know what? Taylor is the one you should be doing this song with. Not just doing it, but reproducing it, because there's some things about it that need to change. But I'm gonna send it to you
Yeah.
soon, so you can just listen to it and we can talk about it and vibe over it. But it's a perfect song for me, you, and another friend of mine, another male singer that's got a real dope vibe. It would be it would be a killer song, because it's got that old R&B feel to it. My homeboy Marcus Cole, who sings with Fred Hammond, he said, "Man, that sounds like some uh, uh, what's the name of the group? Oh my God, Always and Forever, Heat Wave." He was like, "Man, that's got that Heat Wave vibe to it, man." I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, thank you."
Yeah.
So
Send it over.
it's a song, it's a rich song, and it's powerful lyrically too.
Okay.
But
Oh,
I want to. I believe that you are the missing link for that song. I've got songs I've been sitting on. I've got songs that are mixed and mastered and ready to release, but because I'm not in a real music vein right now, I've just held on to them. And it's like I was like this year, my wife was like, "Baby, you need to start putting this music out. I know you're not touring and you're not an artist right now, but that doesn't mean you can't put the music out and just let it do what it does.
you'll always
It's like
be
get
an
it
artist.
out."
You're always gonna be an artist, It's just whether you're a touring artist or not is one thing, or but
Right, right.
it is art, man. So yeah, send it over and we can work on it slowly and
Yeah,
get it up to speed and yeah, put some music out, man. I think I need to do the same thing. Trying to work on my
I know you
solo
do.
record, you know. I've been giving everybody else everything. And so now's the time for me to put some of my stuff out. My sound is relevant right now. It's so obvious that, it's there's a moment here. So yeah, I'm working
Yeah,
on mine too.
absolutely.
And so I'll
Absolutely.
definitely bring you in on some of the stuff, man.
I'm gonna hold you to that.
All right.
Well, look, Taylor, man, I appreciate you connecting with me this morning, man. I know you got a busy schedule today, and we moved the schedule around 100 times, but man, this conversation needed to be had, because there's a level of our relationship that I believe can go to another level. And with some of my friends that I've been able to sit down with this season, it's this been a rich season, man, so far. With who I've been sitting down chopping it up with, but what it's done with each and every one, it's allowed me to see there's room for expansion in our relationship, in our connection, not what we do and what we have in common, but just who we are as people to one another. And I love you, brother, man. I speak highly of you all the time to my wife. She loved your voice. You know, when she heard the song that we did, she was like, "Wow, you guys sound a lot alike." I said, "That boy can sing. That boy can really, really sing."
No,
And I appreciate you and your heart, man. You and your brother are real cool people. And I appreciate what you bring to my life, and that's real talk, man. Even above all the stuff, you know, I appreciate what you bring to my life. So, man, thanks for jumping in with me today
sir.
on Life Interrupts Us.
I
This is the
love it.
podcast where, you know, we tell stories that interrupt life,
That's
and
right.
yeah. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what's next for you. I'm also looking forward to seeing what's next for us because I know we got more together.
Yes,
And
we
I
do.
think now I'm finally gearing up to a place where there's some things that I've been wanting to do. The right pieces are falling together for me to do them, where it doesn't feel contrived. It just feels like
Exactly.
this is what you should be doing. This is who you should be doing it with, and it's gonna be magic, whatever it is. So I
Yes.
appreciate you, bro.
Hey, likewise, I appreciate you as well. Thank you for having me on your platform. I got mad love for you, your family. We have a beautiful song together. So let's make
Yeah,
more,
we
man.
do.
Come on,
Yeah, we
man.
do.
Let's get it. So
That's
much
right.
love
That's
to
right.
you yeah, man, and everything that you are going to be doing. And you got my full support, brother. Yeah.
That's what's up, man. Love you, boy.
Love you
Peace.
too. Peace.